Bedtime at our house is a whole thing. I don't know what happens to children the moment you tell them it's time to get into bed, but suddenly everybody has needs. They need water. They need to use the bathroom again. They remembered something really important that happened at school 6 hours ago. They got questions about tomorrow, questions about God, questions about why a shark can't stop swimming. And apparently all of it has to be resolved before anybody can close their eyes. There are nights when I am trying to be patient, but internally I'm just thinking, get in your stinking beds. Because by that point in the night, I am done. I love my children deeply, but I would also like them to become unconscious for just a few hours so I can just chill for a second. And last night was no different. But there was this moment. I'm sitting there, all three of our kids were in the boys' room. They were in their pajamas, piled together on the bottom bunk. The boys were wrestling around, and our little girl is finally big enough now that she feels like she's one of the big kids. She was right in the middle of the mix, and they were hugging her and pulling her into the bed, wrestling with her, laughing with each other out loud. She was so happy just to be included. And my wife and I found ourselves just standing there kind of in awe, just taking it in. And one of the things that I never really thought about before having kids was that I would get to have a front row seat to watching my children build their own relationships with each other. I knew that I would love them. I knew that I would get to teach them and take care of them, but I don't think I ever pictured getting to stand in a doorway and watch these three little humans become friends, and I almost missed it. It feels that way. And it's not because I, was somewhere else. I was standing right there, but I was tired. I was ready for bedtime to be over. I was already thinking about what I wanted to do next. That moment, it was happening right in front of me, but part of me had already left the room. And every once in a while, there's one of those videos that pops up in my algorithm, and it's just wanting me to get extra emotional. It's like, one day you will pick up your child for the last time. And listen, I don't think we're supposed to live anxiously trying to mourn every moment before it ends. That just sounds exhausting, but those videos get to us because there's something true underneath them. A lot of life, it changes quietly. The last time often feels like every other time. And I've been thinking about how often something good enters our life and stays for a few minutes and leaves without ever really receiving our full attention. Sometimes happiness isn't missing. It just never gets the chance to land. Hey, this is Jonathan, counselor at Sound Mind, professor at Living Faith Bible Institute, and a pastor right here in Kansas City at Midtown Baptist Temple. And this is Sound Mind, where we take a deeper look at life through a biblical lens. This is the very first episode in a new series that I'm calling Stewarding the Good. Okay, a lot of what we talk about on this podcast is connected to difficult seasons, fear and grief, confusion, feeling stuck, trying to hear God when life doesn't make sense. And those conversations are important because life is hard. There are seasons when you need to put language around pain, but spiritual growth doesn't always happen in painful seasons. There's also wisdom in learning how to live when something is going well. Like, how do you deepen joy instead of rushing past it? How do you protect healthy rhythms? How do you steward momentum? How do we enjoy the people in our life while they're sitting at the table with us? How do we receive a good season without immediately becoming afraid of when it might end? That is what this series is going to be all about. Learning how to recognize what God has given us, learning how to receive it while it's here and to steward it well. Because a good life is often made up of things that feel small while they're happening. All right, let's do this. There's a passage in Ecclesiastes that I love, and I think it gives us a really good place to begin. Ecclesiastes is a super interesting book because it's brutally honest about life. It was written by King Solomon, David's son, a man who Scripture describes as the wisest man to ever have lived. But Solomon didn't only possess unusual wisdom. He also had wealth and power and influence and opportunity and access to nearly anything his heart desired. And in the book of Ecclesiastes, he tells us that he went looking for meaning in all of it. He pursued knowledge, he built houses and planted vineyards, he accumulated wealth and possessions. He surrounded himself with entertainment and music and pleasure and everything his eyes desired. He accomplished more than most people could ever imagine getting done in life. And after reaching the places so many of us believe will finally satisfy us, Solomon looked at it all and called it vanity. So what he found was that none of what he pursued could actually carry the weight he had placed on it. The word vanity, it describes something like a vapor. You can see it for a moment, but you can't hold on to it. It appears and then it's gone. That is how Solomon describes so much of life in this world. Time moves quickly. The things we build eventually belong to someone else. We work hard, but we can't control every outcome. We love people, but we cannot keep life from changing. We make plans without knowing what tomorrow will bring. Throughout the book, Solomon describes this as life under the sun. He's looking at life as we experience it, here inside of space and time, living in a fallen world and unable to see the whole thing from the beginning to the end. And when this life is all that we can see, even the good things can begin to feel empty and trivial, and work, it becomes nothing more than just striving, and pleasure fades as soon as the moment is over. Success, it leaves us asking, what's next? But what Solomon concludes as he writes this all down from his experience, he doesn't just throw his hands up and say, well, nothing matters. Again and again, he comes to this conclusion. He brings us back to God. God sees what we can't see. God appoints the times and the season. God, he understands the whole work from the beginning to the end. And since we're not God, the answer is not to understand every part of life before we allow ourselves to live it. No. The invitation is much simpler than that. To be able to receive the life God has placed in front of you, to do the work that is yours to do, to sit down and eat a meal, to enjoy the people who are with you, and to recognize what is good while it's still right in front of you. So you may not know how long the season's gonna last. You may not understand everything God is doing in it either, but you can receive what he has given you today. It says it this way in Ecclesiastes 3, verses 12 and 13. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. Man, I love that, because it's one thing to have good food, right? It's another thing to actually enjoy it. It's one thing to have a job to go to, but it's a whole nother thing to feel some satisfaction in what your hands have done. And it's one thing to have people you love, and it's a whole nother thing to be present enough to receive the goodness of being with them. The passage doesn't only describe the food or the work or the fruit or the labor as a gift, but the ability to enjoy them is also a gift from God. Because having something good and experiencing the goodness of it are not always the same thing. Dinner with my kids is always a very humbling experience. You can work on something for an hour. You can shop for the ingredients, prepare everything, put it on the table, and feel like you've done something kind for your family. Then one of your children looks at the plate like you have served them roofing material. Like, what is this? I don't like it. Can we have Chick-fil-A? They haven't even tasted it. And that is when you hear yourself reaching for one of those classic parent lines you promised you would never say. You don't even realize how good you have it. And then if things are really falling apart, someone brings up kids who are going hungry in other parts of the world. Like, shaming them with world hunger is an effective parenting tool. But I totally understand why parents say it. You're sitting there looking around. You're in a warm home. You have a full table. Everybody is relatively healthy, and there's more food on the table than anybody needs. And one of them sitting there acting like you're their cupbearer or something. You want them to see what they have. You want them to recognize that something good is sitting right in front of them. But listen, children are not the only ones that do this. We've just learned how to complain with more mature vocabulary, right? We get frustrated with the house we once hoped we could afford. We become irritated by the schedule created by opportunities we once prayed for. We complain about the noise made by the little people whose absence would make the house feel unbearably quiet. We become so familiar with a gift that it stops feeling like one at all. Familiarity can flatten wonder, can it? It doesn't mean we should feel guilty every time we become tired or frustrated or dissatisfied. It doesn't mean we have to pretend dinner is amazing when it's not. Sometimes the chicken really is dry, but recognizing the good is not pretending everything is good. It's learning to tell the whole truth about where you are. Maybe this is difficult. Maybe something needs to change. Maybe I'm tired and something good is still here. James 1:17 says it like this: every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and cometh down from the Father of lights. Every good gift. Not only the dramatic ones, not only the answer to prayer that makes everybody cry. Sometimes it's the gift is a nice meal on a Tuesday night. Sometimes it's a child asking one more question at bedtime. Sometimes it's a body that got you through another day, or the friend who texted you back, or standing in the kitchen and laughing. Sometimes it's 10 quiet minutes in the car before you walk into the next thing. The first place that we need to recognize is just learning to ask, what is good here, right now? Not what is perfect or what will last forever, not what would look impressive to somebody else. What is good right now, because we're often waiting for happiness to arrive with some major announcement while it keeps entering the room quietly. The second thing that I think that we need to learn is to receive the good. Recognizing a moment is not the same as actually allowing yourself to enjoy it. Years ago, when I was touring with a band, we would have these opportunities to play in some crazy places around the world. And I remember sitting in a green room in Siberia, actual Siberia. Like when you are planning your summer trip or vacation, nobody's like, what do you think about Siberia? Like that Siberia, on the other side of Russia, Siberia. This is one of those places that you would think would be enough to make a person stop and look around. We are in Siberia. But I remember sitting there stressed out about what's going to happen in the next 3 months. I was talking with our booking agents, I was texting and Skyping and doing all the things, trying to talk to management, trying to work out the next tour, wondering which rooms we would fill next. And with the goal of trying not to lose momentum. And this is one of the strange things about life. Every opportunity can start feeling like an audition for the next opportunity. You play one room while getting caught up worrying about whether you'll get invited into a bigger one. So then something that you once dreamed about now becomes the thing you're standing on so you can reach something else. And listen, most of our lives are not gonna feel as obviously unusual as sitting in Siberia. Usually, it's much more quiet than that. You're on a vacation, but you're thinking about the work waiting for you when you return. You're celebrating something special, but already wondering how you're gonna maintain it. You finally have a peaceful weekend and your mind begins drifting and searching for the next problem you're gonna have to solve. The body is in one place and the mind is just somewhere else. And sometimes the reason I think that we struggle to receive a good moment is that receiving it feels vulnerable. Like, what if it doesn't last? What if I enjoy this too much and then I lose it? Or what if I become comfortable and something catches me off guard? Some people have lived in survival mode for so long that it seems like peace feels like almost irresponsible. They don't know how to relax or rest without just feeling exposed. But receiving joy is not the same thing as trusting joy. You don't have to believe a good moment will last forever in order to receive it today. You don't have to turn it into your security. You can simply let it be a gift. Psalm 34:8 says it this way: "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him." See, taste, it requires presence. You can't taste something 3 months from now, right? Like, you have to be where you are. So the second thing that I think we need to be able to hold on to is simple. When you notice something good, stay there 10 seconds longer than you normally would. Don't immediately reach for your phone. Don't rush into the next task. Don't start explaining the moment while you're still inside it. Look around, take a breath. Let yourself say, "This is good. God, thank you for this." Let the good land. The third thing that I think that we need to learn is to remember the good. Last Thanksgiving, we were at the beach and my kids were climbing to the top of these sand dunes, and they would get to the very top and they would look down at me, and then they would jump and I would catch them. And I love this. This is one of my favorite things. I love catching them when they jump off high things. It's like they're completely committed. They are terrified and thrilled at the same time. They trust that I'm going to be there. And the moment I catch them, they want to climb back up and do it again. Do it again, do it again, do it again. And it's just such a blast. And in this moment, it was fun. It felt ordinary. We do this all the time. It was just one of those things my body could do. And just a few moments later, that all changed. Now, I don't want to get into it. I don't have time to share this embarrassing story, but in short, I was racing my nieces and nephews and being ridiculous, and I tried to do a diving forward roll, which I realized in that moment I can no longer do. And now I have a type 3 AC joint separation that I honestly don't know what to do with. If you're a doctor or a PT, please email me, jonathan@soundmind.live. Please, I am kind of stuck here with this AC joint separation. Anyways, since then, at least for now, I can't catch them the same way that I could. And I can't throw them around the same way. They're things I used to do with them without thinking that now that requires a decision or some kind of modification. And I didn't realize how good I had it. And listen, I don't mean that in some dramatic, self-pitying way. I am healing, I think. I'm still able to do most things, but an injury has a way of showing you how many gifts your body was giving you without introducing them as gifts at all. You reach for something and all of a sudden it hurts. You try to sleep in a position you've slept in your whole life, and suddenly your shoulder's like, yeah, not anymore. You watch your kids do something you would normally join in for the first time. You are standing off to the side. Sometimes loss teaches us the value of what familiarity taught us to overlook. We do this with our bodies. We do this with relationships. We do this with seasons. We look back at pictures and realize that was a good time. The kids were so little. We didn't have much, but we were happy. Those were long days, but there was something beautiful happening in them. And I don't think that the answer is to become anxious about losing everything. I don't want to walk around turning every good moment into a warning. Like you're sitting there enjoying a sandwich and thinking, one day I'll never eat a sandwich again. No, that is not thankfulness. That is exhausting. The invitation is not to fear the ending. It's to bring some of the clarity we usually gain in hindsight into the life we are living now. Psalm 103 verse 2 says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits." It says, forget not. Apparently, goodness can be present and still be forgotten. A benefit can be received without ever really being marked. So the third thing that I think that we need to learn how to live into is to give the good moment language. So at the end of the day, finish this sentence. Something from today I want to remember is. It doesn't have to be profound. So something that I want to remember today, something that happened earlier, is me tossing my daughter onto the bed. We call it flapjack. I flip her over and say flapjack, and she laughs uncontrollably, and then she immediately gets this super serious face and she says, more, and she gestures the sign language, more. Or maybe it's just the quiet cup of coffee before everybody wakes up, or the conversation with a friend, or the way the light comes through the window in that one place in your house. The fact that my body carried me through a run, the way everybody ended up in the kitchen talking after dinner. So then thankfulness, it's one of the ways that we can keep a good moment from passing through our lives unwitnessed. So those are the three things we need to remember. Recognize the good, receive it, and then give it language so you don't forget it. And I just want to be clear, none of this is ignoring what hurts. Some of you are listening to this and you're genuinely in a really hard season. There may be grief or uncertainty, or disappointment, or something happening in your life that is simply not good. And God is not asking you to pretend otherwise, but He can help us hold both. We can be honest about what is painful and still recognize where He's been kind. Thankfulness doesn't erase grief. It just keeps grief from becoming the only thing that we can see. And if you are in one of those seasons, I would encourage you to go back and listen to the previous series, The Places We Find Ourselves. We talk about the desert, the storm, the waiting room, and some of the places that life can take us when things are not going the way that we hoped. But wherever you find yourself, thankfulness is one of the ways that we can turn our attention back to God. Hebrews 3:15 says, "By Him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to God continually. That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to His name." Sometimes thankfulness comes super easy, and other times it really does take a sacrifice. But either way, it's worship. It's stopping long enough to say, God, I see this. I know it came from you. Thank you. So I want to end where we started, back in that doorway, watching all three of my kids piled onto the bottom bunk. The boys were laughing. Our daughter was right in the middle of it all. So happy to be one of the big kids. Bedtime still needed to happen. I still eventually made them go to bed. Let's not get ridiculous. But this time I stayed there a little longer. And what could have been just another loud, drawn out bedtime became something that I could offer back to God. Thank you for this room. Thank you for my kids. Thank you that they like each other, at least right now. Thank you that I get to stand here and witness it all. Because one day that room will be quiet. The bunk beds probably won't be there. Nobody will need one more drink of water. Nobody will suddenly remember an urgent question just as I turn out the light. And I don't want to wait until that room is empty to realize how much happiness used to happen right here. Some of the moments you will miss someday are happening around you right now. So sometime today, stop and ask, what is good here right now? Stay with the answer a few seconds longer than you normally would. And before the day ends, give it language. Thank God for it while it is still here. Not because everything is good, but because even in the middle of a complicated life, God is still giving good gifts. Don't wait until a good season becomes a memory before you finally recognize that it's good. If this episode brought someone or something to mind, don't let the moment pass without giving it language. Tell your spouse you enjoyed being with them today. Tell your friend you're thankful for them. Tell your kids that you liked sitting with them, hearing their stories, or or watching them laugh. Tell them you're thankful that you get to be their dad or their mom. And if you or someone you love needs more structured help, you can reach out at soundmind.live. We'd be glad to help you find biblical counseling near you. You can also follow the podcast on Instagram and Facebook at soundmind.live. We will be sharing reflections and clips and practical resources right in the middle of your week. And hey, if this episode was helpful for you, if you're sitting there thinking, you know what's good in my life? This episode. Rate and review the show. It really does help people find their way here. And for more thoughtful biblical conversations, check out the postscript. You can find the postscript wherever you listen. And if you want to know the Bible for yourself, or maybe one day you want to be a missionary or a pastor or simply someone who can faithfully help other people, do yourself a favor and check out Living Faith Bible Institute at lfbi.org. You can find all the fall classes there, including 2 that I get to teach. Introduction to Biblical Counseling. This lays out the theological foundation. We look at how to understand people, how to understand suffering and change, and the work of counseling through the lens of Scripture. Then, Biblical Counseling Lab 1. We get super practical. We learn how to apply those truths. We learn how to listen well and how to show up as the servant of the Lord and shepherd people who are hurting or struggling. And just as a side, biblical counseling is a prerequisite for Lab 1, but I would love to have you in either class. Head to lfbi.org to learn more. Okay, thanks for listening. Until next time, take care.